Hello and welcome to this lecture on property sales contract. This is a 1-hour webinar and I'm going to be looking at the standard conditions of sale and the commercial conditions of sale. Unfortunately, many people don't really read these conditions, and it's not easy to read them because they're written on the paper document in tiny fonts in the middle, and it's something which people don't have the time to read. But the intention of this seminar is to lead you through the important ones. But I would stress that it is important to find the time of the weekend or evening to take a copy home and look at, say, Practical Law Guide and work through each condition so you know what they're saying. But obviously at the outset, it's important to understand what your client's position is and whether you're acting for the buyer or the seller. And it may be that you're drafting the contract or you're receiving the pre-contract package, but it may be also that the agents have just put together standard terms and haven't really thought about it or thought about your particular client's requirements. And also, if you do go on to add additional conditions, as I mentioned before, be aware that there may, in fact, already be provisions that deal with that in the standard conditions of sale. And often I've seen people adding conditions which are either inconsistent or contradict the standard conditions. And then you get on to the next point about amending the contract. Is there needs to be a provision in there making sure that any additional conditions override any of the standard conditions, and that's normally the case, but there could be litigation if that's not clear. So the first question is looking at the contract from the buyer's point of view is, does the provision, do the heads of terms accord with the contract and what your client's instructions are? And if there are any additional conditions, do they actually do what they're intended to do? Unfortunately, don't get me get started on AI and ChatGPT. I've seen an awful lot of garbage produced by AI and ChatGPT, and there is a tendency for people to just cut and paste clauses from documents without realizing that you need to do the detail and check that the references and the names and the defined terms are correct. Basic things like landlord or lessor or lessee or tenant and property or building all lead to confusion and potential high court litigation.